Welcome to the Post Up. This is your weekly NBA show where three guys break down everything going on in the association. Your boy here, Dylan at DillBond00 on Twitter, where you could find me. Who we got with me, you ask? My man Ryan Dolan. How we doing?
Doing good, man. At Ryan Props on Twitter. Feel free to give me a follow. Doing pretty good, man. We got MLB's pretty much done for the next couple days, so I'm ready to just go full steam ahead on NBA. Hopefully, we get some big news this week. Summer League's been fun. I adore Summer League. Dating back to my Sixers tanking days, this used to be my playoffs for me. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the Summer League. So I've really enjoyed watching it. And uh, this draft is exciting, man. A couple months leading up to the draft, I didn't know a ton about it because the Sixers didn't have any picks. I didn't follow it anywhere near as close as I'm used to, and I don't know. I've fallen for a lot of these players, man. This class is good. This class is going to be a lot of fun to watch them integrate themselves in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we break down the Summer League, you guys are probably realizing that we are a man down again in our three-man booth. We are missing our main man, Michael Willis. Follow him at Carefree Willis on
There
Twitter.
you go.
Forgot his Twitter handle for a second, but I got it.
There you go. You nailed
While
it.
you're following all of us on Twitter, make sure you follow at the Post Up Boys on Twitter. Interact with us a little bit. Talk to us about the NBA. But Michael's out traveling again. Clearly, he does not see this as much of a priority as Dolan and I, even though Dolan missed last week, but we'll forget about that.
Hey,
Um,
I had an excuse. I don't believe in Michael's excuse.
yeah, right.
Michael took that opportunity. By the way, I listened to this show. I know what Michael did. He took the opportunity for me to not be there to shit talk the Sixers the whole episode. So I got some
First of
shit to
all,
say about the
we'd be
Pistons.
happy to wail on the Sixers with you around. We've done it many times. Your presence is irrelevant in that situation.
I suppose that's fair, but yeah, I got some shit to say about these tanking ass Pistons because of
That's
him.
right. Speaking of Pistons, who were absolutely robbed of Wembanyama. It's really hard to say now because he's, as of right now, he's playing very well. 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks with 8 minutes left.
Yeah.
But is it fair to say that game one was an overreaction, at least in the Twitter sphere?
Oh, dude, absolutely, absolutely. So I could say a million things about summer league. The best way I could describe it is if a good player plays poorly in summer league, I don't think twice about it. However, when they play well, I'm like really impressed with what they're doing. So it's like I don't. It's kind of hard to it's hard to describe, but if you watch a summer league game, you're just going to see a lot of selfish basketball. You're going to see a lot of guys running faster than they're capable of dribbling, a lot of turnovers, a lot of bad shots, poorly ran fast breaks. So it's just not good, clean basketball. So like when a guy steps up and is able to play efficiently, keep the turnovers low, like I'm super impressed. But when a guy that you know, even if you expect a lot from him, doesn't play that well in the summer league, it's really not that much of a concern to me at all. So 2 of 13, obviously, that's pretty damn bad. You definitely want more, especially out of the way this guy was, talked about over the past couple years. But it's really not that big a deal. It's going to be such a small blip on the radar so soon. But in the moment, I get it. He looked a lot more raw than I think a lot of us were anticipating. And then he came out after the game, and I know you had some thoughts about this, but he said he didn't really know what he was doing out there. And it was quite an interesting quote to hear firsthand from one of the most heralded basketball prospects, if not sports prospects of all time. It was really interesting to hear him say something like that. So uh, weird stuff. But again, 2 of 13, bad game, not that big a deal. And he's proving it now. They're playing right now. There's 7 minutes left in the third quarter. He's absolutely torn this game to shreds so far in 14 minutes. So he's bounced back. But yeah, admitting that you weren't really sure what you were doing out there was definitely an odd take. I didn't anticipate that.
Absolutely. And I was going to piggyback on that. So I give a lot of these young guys the benefit of the doubt because a lot of them haven't talked to media and stuff a lot. But you got to think that someone who with his clout since he's been talked about for years, you think he would know not to say something like that, but he did. And to me, him saying that is way worse to me than how he played. Just like, just come out there and say, "Yeah, it wasn't my night, wasn't
Yeah,
hitting shots." Like, what do you
I
say? I didn't
wonder.
really know what I was doing out there. That's crazy.
I,
Should not be
I, al-
saying that.
I almost just want to say it's like a disconnect because I would imagine English is his second language and French is his first.
Probably, yeah, that's
Maybe
true.
it's just like maybe it's a disconnect. Maybe it's just blatant honesty, and he's just simply pretty damn raw. And this is his first game in American basketball. I mean, there's definitely bound to be, a lot of changes from what he's used to. I mean, there's MLB pitchers that come over from Japan, and it takes them a season or two to get integrated into like the league strike zone and just how they play the game of baseball. So I don't see why it would be any different in American basketball versus like French basketball. So I mean, I'm sure there was just some brutal honesty to that. I'm sure it was just an uncomfortable spot for him to be in, and it looks like he got comfortable quick
Yeah, so
based off the night that is.
I, I was actually gonna ask, what competition would you say is better competition, the French basketball league or NBA summer league?
I I don't know if I'm a great person to answer that question. I I don't know. I don't know. I guess I would say the best competition is in summer league, but it's a fairly uneducated opinion. But I mean, we do have several of the top names that we've heard about for many years playing in the summer league. We have some really
True.
good second year players out here as well that were top picks in the prior draft, and they're 19, 20 years old with some good experience under the belt. So I would lean maybe a little biasly to the summer league, but I know so little about the French leagues that it's not really fair for me to answer.
I agree. Okay. Yeah, that's probably a fair point. So you mentioned the second year players. I've got a couple things. I realized something this summer league, and this is the first summer league I've watched in a while, if I'm being honest. But looking at it this year, I think that there's got to be some sort of regulations of who and who cannot play in the summer league because, and this is why I think that it's not because they're dominating. To me, if you're already a proven NBA talent, you should not be playing in the summer league because they're just taking up spots for people who are trying to be an NBA talent. And to me, that's not fair. And I don't think it should be all second year players. I'm obviously like Wimby just airballed a three, so that's sweet.
Nice.
Um, I think that this is just the rule I came up with thinking about it. If you made an all rookie team, you cannot play in the summer league.
Hmm. Interesting. Did Jabari? I would
He did not.
think he did. Oh, he did not.
He did
Okay,
not. He
interesting.
did not. But like Jaden Ivey has no business playing out there, in my opinion. He was good. Um, who was the other name? Keegan Murray. He does not no reason for him to be playing out there.
Yeah,
Like I,
but sorry. Go ahead. You can finish your
I
point.
and I get why they want to play. Like, why not play basketball? Like, they're still young. They want to play basketball as much as they can, and I get that take too. I really do. But to me, it's just like you're taking up spots that people that are trying to be out here. You know, it's like everyone knows what you can do already. You're proven. You know, and you're just scratching the surface, sure. But and it also makes me think that like they're not taking it as seriously. It's like, oh, it's just the summer league compared to playing an actual NBA game, and that might not be their take at all. But that's just how I would do it if I was playing. It'd be just like a pickup game, like how Jaden Ivey played the other day.
Yeah, you're not kidding. That dude, no, I don't think he passed the ball a single time in that game. He shot like 5 of 18.
He had 10 assists today. To be fair, Jaden Ivey did.
Yes, he did. He played a different style of basketball today, and it led to a 12-point loss. So even in the summer league, this team stinks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep,
right. And I think
10,
it's
10
I mentioned it yesterday, but Pistons potential starting five, three of them are playing in summer league right now. So
you, maybe even four of them. I mean, Duran, Wiseman, Asor, and Jaden Ivey are all in the starting lineup. So
yeah,
you can make a case that maybe even four of them are there
that's
if you,
true. Yeah,
don't
that's
think
true.
that Isaiah Stewart starts at the four. But I've been super, super impressed with Duran. I think he's one of those guys that
Yeah,
should
he
be
looks good.
playing in the summer league, and he looks
I agree.
really good,
He's
man.
very raw.
He I mean, obviously we can't take summer league too seriously, but he was knocking down jumpers. He was
Hmm.
dribbling into jumpers today and still knocking them down. I was actually really impressed with his passing last year. He didn't really show too much today. He only had one assist, but um, while I do agree he is raw, I mean, I think he looks like he improved tremendously this offseason. I do think the Pistons are going to be an odd team in the sense that Cade can't really shoot from deep. Ivy can't really shoot from deep. they drafted Thompson, and I really like these kids. I like both of them a lot.
Yeah,
I
big
like
fans.
how hard they play on defense, especially in the summer league. Been super impressed with their athleticism, their effort, especially defensively. And Asor played pretty well. He's rebounded his ass off. He's got 9 rebounds and 8 rebounds in the 2 games. Passing is really good, but he can't really he doesn't really seem to be able to shoot from deep that well. We're talking a very limited sample size, but if you kind of factor in the look of his jump shot and his brothers, it's just not the cleanest looking jumper. So I think Pistons are they need Duran and or Wiseman and or Isaiah Stewart to be able to knock down these threes, man. They need to stretch that floor because they have 3 guards. And I don't know. I mean, I guess we want to call Asor Thompson a forward, but he's still borderline guard forward to me.
Absolutely.
Um, and none of them are really plus shooters. If anything, they're all below average shooters. So they really need their big men to all start getting comfortable stepping out and knocking these down.
Well,
I was
they
really
got Bogey. He can stretch the floor. So
Yes, yes, yes. He's going to be a huge part of that team because he's, as far as like the starting lineup is concerned, he's pretty much their only guy that will consistently be able to pull that off. So he's going to be a huge part of this team. If they trade him, I think they'd almost be silly. Obviously, kind of want to maximize his value in a trade in a package, but they need his shooting desperately because I'm not seeing it from basically the entire roster is going to struggle really badly to shoot from deep. So will be interesting. Duran and
they did just
Wiseman
get Joe
both been
Harris.
improved. What's that?
They traded for Joe Harris.
That is a good pickup. That is a really good pickup actually, and that was smart. That shows they have a little they know their identity, they know their weaknesses, and yeah, I thought that was a good pickup. Harris is inconsistent yet consistent at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like he'll go 1 of 8, but also he can go 6 of 7 the next game. So we're talking a career 40% 3-point shooter. So great addition for them.
Yeah.
Great addition. They
You
need
you
many more guys like that.
you mentioned how like Asar hasn't like on a small sample size hasn't looked great shooting. I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were talking about the Celtics podcast and they were specifically talking about Jordan Walsh, but they were saying they don't care in summer league. They don't care what the misses or makes look like. They want you to get as many shots up as possible, just so they have so much tape and stuff to go off of to study, like the shooting coaches and stuff, which makes so much sense. So maybe that's why Ivy's out here freaking gunning it like crazy, or at least he was the first game. But
Yeah.
and that to me that makes a lot of sense because, like you mentioned, you when you play basketball with people that aren't on the same level you, it's almost challenging to a different level. You can't always dominate because people aren't always on the same page. So I I agree with what you're saying when like if you have a bad game, it doesn't really matter because it's hard to like people aren't always cutting when you expect them to cut just because the IQ is not on the same level. So I do
Yeah.
agree that that quote you said earlier with if you play poorly, it doesn't really matter. Tatum balled out when he was in summer league, so look at
Ben
him.
Simmons balled
He's
out when he
yeah,
was in summer league.
yeah. And those are the two best players in the NBA right now. So
Yeah, that's right. It's been really interesting. I think the central guy we can point to in the doesn't matter if you play bad in the summer league ordeal. It has to be Brandon Miller. And at some point you do have to start asking some questions because we're now 4 games in and he's been
mhm,
shitty in all of them. At least today he had 4 assists, 0 turnovers. I do like that.
that's
Four of
good.
18 shooting, pretty fucking awful. Not the worst thing in the world, but if you watch it, you see the way their guards play. They've ran countless fast breaks and like he'll be wide open in the corner and they'll drive 2-on-1 and try to put it up. Definitely is at the mercy of the guards that he's playing with to feed him. But he also, he was touted as a guy that can go and create his own shot. Not that the summer league has proven that he can't, but I wouldn't mind watching him knock one of these shots down eventually. I mean, he shot really bad pretty much in all 4 games, 0 for 7 from 3 today. So, um, if I'm a Hornets fan, I mean, granted, I thought they should have gone Scoot all the way, personally,
Absolutely.
but if I'm a Hornets fan, I would actually be just a little bit concerned because this has been really bad. Like if you have one bad game, you follow it up with a nice performance, and then you play bad again, so be it. But he's been arguably pretty damn bad 4 straight games, heavy turnovers, personal foul problems, especially in the first 2 games. So I don't know. We'll see. We don't need to overreact too much, but definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. And when they go and play their 5th game, I will definitely want to watch. And and see what that looks like. Because eventually, you would like to see this guy just start knock down some shots, even if these games are meaningless.
Yeah, a couple things I noticed by watching him play is he's got great height and great length, 6'9", and he's a great three-point shooter supposedly, right? But his if you look at his jump shot form is low, so it takes away the advantage of being a 6'9" shooter.
Interesting.
He does have a pretty high quick release, which is good, but if he can combine that quick release with a higher release on his jump shot, it's gonna be significant like, a lot harder to guard. When it's low, like, obviously, you could be able to snag it real quick, like, be able to, contest it. So, that's, like, a couple things, and he's not, like, uberly athletic. He's got a good, first step, but it's not like he's blowing by people either. So, I do wanna see how he looks. Like, it's hard to say. Like I said, it's just a sample size, and it's just summer league. But to me, and we only saw a little bit of Scoot because of his shoulder injury, but when he was on the court, man, he looked good.
Yeah.
He
Yes,
looked
he did.
good.
Yes, he did.
Um,
And both Thompson twins have looked good. Cam Whitmore's looked good.
Cam's look good.
Wembanyama looks great today.
Yeah.
Anthony Black was tremendous. My goodness, Keontae George
Keontae George is good.
yesterday was 34 points, 17 in the fourth quarter, plus 10 assists. I was I was super impressed with him. I was super impressed with Anthony Black. I really didn't love the Anthony Black pick initially, and the more I've thought about it, the more it does make sense. And he could be really interesting. I think they you have to put their core in perspective because they have a ton of young guys, but like who are we really focusing on? I would guess you. I mean, obviously Poalo, obviously
Mhm.
now Anthony Black, and I guess number three would be Franz
Franz, yeah.
Wagner.
Yep.
And if they had taken one of those forwards, then it would have just clashed with the other two guys that they're aiming to build around. So why don't you go get your 6'7" future point guard? Although they still have Suggs, they still have Fultz, they still have Anthony. They have guys that could do that job, but I guess that they saw that Anthony Black has a higher potential than them. Well, we'll see if that ends up coming true. But I do kind of understand a little bit more now than when I did on draft night. But and then watching how he played last night, even further encouragement. He was really good. He looked poised. He really seemed to know when to distribute, when to take over. He just looked very, very ready for the moment. So I think that's what's so interesting about watching Brandon Miller struggle. Again, it's not that big of a deal, but when you see how comfortable some of these other guys look and how well they've played, you start to, you're in the back of your mind, you start to wonder a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, when Anthony Black was in Arkansas, you can see his game. He just has a mature game to him. Like, he plays in the pace his own pace, almost like Luka-like in a way. Not to that same extreme, but that's to me was some stuff I could small comparison I can see there. One player that we've been talking a lot about rookies, but we got to talk about Jabari Smith, someone who had a
Yeah.
mediocre rookie season, you could say, who needed a big summer league, and that guy has been balling. He looks good.
Yes, he does.
Big,
My goodness, he
big,
looks terrific.
big fan. I like what Houston did, man. I'm very excited for this Houston team. And I had a little bit of I watched some of that Houston game when he hit the game winner, and they had Ime Doku there, and they did like a small interview with him, and all whole time I was just like, wow,
I'm just
used to be my
surprised that
coach, man.
I'm just surprised Ime was able to keep it in his pants long enough to watch the game.
I was wondering if he was going to say anything about it. I was like, is this really the time and place to ask him like what happened? But I guess it was not. So good call.
Got to know better.
Yeah.
But yes, Jabari has been unreal. He played even better, arguably today with 38 points. I want to say so. Um, just good stuff, man. And some of these, I mean, these are big time moves, man. He caught at the perimeter. He drove left for a second, then he backed down and he hit a turnaround fadeaway with a hand in his face, and just like that's the kind of stuff that just makes you nod your head, like, oh, that's a pro move. It reminded me of Brandon Ingram slash Jason Tatum back in their Duke days, where it's just like, obviously these guys are kind of scrawny. They didn't like super dominate back in college, but they would break out a move where you're like, oh,
Hmm.
that's why they're regarded as highly as they are. And Jabari pulled off a few of those moves today and the last game. So cool to see. I mean, it's just crazy how big of a jump some of these guys can make from year one to year two. Obviously, again, we've said it a million times. This is summer league. We don't need to read too much into this. It is fun to talk about. It's fun to watch, but at the same time, you still technically want these guys to play well, and he could not have played any better than he played the past two games.
Yeah, I agree. So I've got one last question when it comes to summer league. Do you care who wins
Like overall?
in general? I don't even check scores. I just
Like
look at box
for the
scores.
game.
Yeah,
Oh,
for the
no,
games.
no, I 100% look at stats.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page there.
I
I
don't think
hope
I
some
could tell
people
you
do.
who's won a single game yet.
I know Celtics lost their first game to the Heat, so that's
Uh,
the
that's true. I can tell you that the Sixers won last game, so
yeah.
I guess
Um,
I could tell you.
I'm good on summer league. You got anything else?
No, I think I'm all set. Covered a lot of exciting rookies. Touched on Jabari. Is there any other second year players that have, kind of taken this by
Keegan
storm?
Murray.
Yeah, Keegan. He went freaking bananas in the game. I think he's only played in one game. Don't quote me on that, but he played really, really freaking well in that game.
Yeah, and that
Jalen Williams played in one game. He played
oh
really,
yeah.
really well. So
Chet,
it's
dude, what? Why have we not talked about Chet, the freaking
that's
goat?
the go. We have a one of our
Freaking
best
jacked.
friends. Name is his name is Nate, and he's probably the biggest Chet Holmgren hater of all time. I haven't come across anybody that hates Chet Holmgren quite like our friend Nate does. So Chet will probably be at the forefront of a lot of our discussions. So I find it very interesting that he hasn't
S
been to this point.
Nate just hates Chet because Chet outlifts him in the gym, that's all. And
That's a
it's
fact.
just that
That's a
is the
fact.
fact. No, he's
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, though, he's looked really good. He had some like his first game that he played. I think that was in the Utah Summer League. He definitely looked like rusty, which obviously he just missed a year, so he was rusty, but still he still looked like he knew how to play basketball, and his defense was still phenomenal. Phenomenal
Yes, it was. Yes,
defense.
it was. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a shot at rookie of the year. I mean,
He's
I
my
think
vote.
Wembanyama's first game kind of put it in perspective. I mean, you could have bet the field to win rookie of the year. There was a market that was Wembanyama versus the field, and Wembanyama was like horrible, unbettable odds, and you could take the entire NBA or at least the NBA rookies for like plus 200 or something like that, which
Jeez.
I don't know if that market still exists. It would never existed in Virginia for me, or else I
Yeah, about
probably
to
would have
say.
dabbled in it. But it's just crazy. I think maybe perhaps game one with Wembanyama opened up a little possibility, and I mean Chet could come in here and and win this. He had that extra year of training, even though he was limited. So I've been pretty impressed. He even at Gonzaga, he took less than 10 field goals a game. In the summer league, he's not been a high volume guy. He kind of just plays patiently, waits for his spots, plays good defense. He can pass. The jump shot is he's capable, but it's not really there yet. We'll see. Wembanyama kind of feels the same. It's just like I know he can shoot, but he's not really shooting well. Um, we'll see. But yeah, Chet's looked pretty damn good, man. I'm super intrigued with the entire OKC, everything that they're doing. Kaysen, we didn't even
Wallace.
mention
Yeah,
Kaysen
Casey
Wallace,
Wallace. He
who
looked
just
good.
knocked down 6 threes last game. And I think Michael got on the Post Up Boys Twitter and said, "When in doubt, draft a Kentucky
Kentucky.
guard." And as a Tyrese Maxey stan, I fully agree, man. You just can't go wrong. I don't really know where he fits with OKC because guards
Yeah.
are not really a problem for them. But I mean, if he plays anything like that, they don't have much choice but to at least include him somewhere in the rotation. So,
Yeah.
uh,
That's
oh,
one thing. So I like Casey Wallace a lot. I really wish he went to a different team where he would just had more opportunity. But
yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I think I'm all set on summer league.
all right. I got one quick question for you. Damian Lillard, am I right? That's all I got
Uh,
on the topic. So if you
oh,
want to
good.
touch on it, go ahead.
Uh, it's something we've texted a million times. It's something that's been texted and or tweeted 1,000 times. I'm sure. It's just all these years, this whole loyalty act, and like in a matter of a week, it seems all of that was just such BS. And his image, maybe not his image is ruined. It's not like he hit his wife or he didn't do anything outlandish, but all of the loyalty and clout that he fought for in that sense for all those years just vanished in the snap of a finger. And but it is weird because none of this sounds like Dame. I mean,
You're absolutely right. It
maybe
doesn't.
as a super pushy agent, I don't really know. I'm not really sure what to think of the whole situation. I'm sick of it. I've been sick of it. I really hope that Portland does they I hope they don't trade him to Miami. I want to see what happens.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
hope they trade him
sounds
anywhere
fucking
else.
awesome.
He's
Yeah.
being so ridiculous. Like and that's what to me when you, it's like he hurt did this to himself. He was like last he was gonna be like last summer when he signed the extension. He's like, okay, I'm here for Portland. I trust you guys. You're gonna be it. And a year later, you change your mind. And it's not like I mean, I got to give Portland the benefit of the doubt on this. It's not like they're trying to lose. You know, it's like it's not their case. To me just as much to blame and Damian Lillard is the organization. If Damian Lillard can't recruit players to come,
Yeah,
like
yeah. I
you, this is the face of your franchise. You are Damian Lillard, Dame Dalla. Everyone knows who you are. And if you can't recruit any of these stars to come play for Portland, then you're just as much to blame as the organization because
Yep.
players run the NBA, not the organization, as much as what players want to say otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Portland doesn't owe him a damn thing. He
I
should have just not
agree.
signed. Just don't sign.
Exactly.
You're not sticking around.
You can't be so demanding, and it's one thing to request a trade. I get it, but you can't say that. Oh, if
One
any,
team?
yeah, only one team. Like even so, I heard a couple comparisons. They're saying Kevin Durant. He named a couple teams when he requested a trade. Every time he's been traded, Kawhi Leonard. He wanted to go to any LA team. At least he gave a couple teams. He still got went to Toronto, but he played and won a championship, and it worked out. Worked out.
Yeah,
So it's just what he's doing is just another level of ridiculousness, in my opinion.
yeah. That to
But
name one team that doesn't have the assets on paper to get a guy like him is just absurd. It's such bullshit to Portland and all those fans you fought for to make them love you all these years. You're gonna just shoot them like you're gonna just kill. You're gonna kill their chances just like that. I mean, crazy, weird. I don't know. Sick of it. That's about all I got to say about it. I guess.
yeah, yeah, I'm done talking about Dame.
Good deal.
I do have one other quick question for you.
By all means.
James Harden, am I right?
Oh God. Oh man. I don't know where to start on this subject. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It feels like Woe just said just about everything. It feels like a very good possibility he comes into next season on the Sixers roster. And our clock is ticking because we could, if Maury waits too long, we could just lose him for free in free agency. And I don't know, man. I don't know what other Sixers fans' expectations are, but I'd be fine getting role players back. I mean, I want some decent role players. Don't get me wrong, but if we get like a pretty mediocre return, it's probably not that mediocre because we're about to lose the guy at the end of the year anyway. We free up
Absolutely.
his cap space. I mean, the Sixers they do not need to be focused on this year. What it almost seems like they're doing is shedding all financial responsibility of everybody that isn't Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid for 2024. So we're
Hmm.
basically, it looks like we're looking to have two guys on the roster paid and then a ton of money for next offseason to try to make our splash then. That's what it kind of feels like we're doing here, but we'll see. I don't know. I would love to see James Harden go. I'm not really that picky on the package. I would take a lot more than
Let me s-
probably most
let
Sixers
me
fan.
let me say something. So Nicholas Batum, Norman Powell in a first.
Not it's not great. I don't know. That is a tough one. I mean I do lean yes. That's a tough one to say yes to though. That's about as hard as it would get to say
I
yes.
I think that's a solid. I mean, Nicholas Batum gives you a veteran. He's good at defense. He stretches the floor, and Norman Powell was in the argument for six man of the year last year. Having that off the bench would be good,
Yes, he would be a great addition for us. I mean, both of them really would be.
especially if I'm a Sixers fan. You expected James Harden not to be there this offseason anyway, so it's getting anything for him is something, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I thought the options were that he was going to stay a Sixer or he was going to leave for free. So to get a return is good in my opinion. I mean, I do understand Maury's I guess spot, he doesn't, you don't want to give a guy away for free just cuz, but at the same time, we better not lose him for free. That's all. I guess that's the main thing of what I'm getting at. We better
Yeah.
not lose this guy for nothing.
And if you're other teams, you know that his contract is expiring, and you do not like James Harden is up there with Kyrie Irving. You have no expectations of what he's going to do, not to the same level, but it's like he could like if he wants to play in the Clippers, sure he might sign there. But I mean, if he ends up going somewhere else, who knows what it could
Yep.
be.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, that's enough talking about James Harden. Um, I do want to touch on the pretty big news we had come across our phones: the in-season tournament. So for those of you who have not seen it, Adam Silver has officially, or I guess the NBA has officially announced they are doing an in-season tournament. And quick summary of the rules: there's going to be groups of teams of 5 teams, and it seems like the top team in each group will be playing in a tournament that will be in Las Vegas, and there'll be a championship game. And they're not it's not an additional games they're playing. The only additional game is going to
Yep.
be the championship. And
Yep.
that game does not count towards any regular season stats. And all the other so if anyone watches the WNBA, they're already doing it. It's called the Commissioner's Cup. They just have set games in the schedule that said this is a cup game. And I'm not super, super familiar with Premier League, but I do know that if it's not just like this, it's very similar to how they do in the Premier League. I know Adam Silver takes a lot of his influence and stuff from international soccer. So um, I think this is awesome personally. I'm all for trying to make things better. Um, I mean, keeping something the same is just boring. So adding all these things, and Adam Silver is clearly trying to make the NBA better, and I am all for that.
Yep.
Whether it's even if it doesn't work, at least you tried. You know,
Yep.
I think that it gives, especially with the NBA, with NBA, hockey, and MLB all fall in the same category. You got to make regular season more meaningful, and this 100% does that. And rather than shortening the season, because I want to watch as much basketball as possible, keep it the same for now, and then do this game, and then do see how it goes. What do you think of it, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, I think two of the bigger takeaways. The first one is I was really confused at how it would work, but the main thing, and you said it already, but these teams are still going to play an 82 game season. And certain some of these games will just be deemed a tournament game. I initially thought there would be extra games on top of the 82 games, or I didn't necessarily think that. I was just confused on how it was going to work. So it was nice to get some clarity on that. Richard Jefferson posted a video today, kind of explaining to clear up some of the loose ends. But you said the teams that make it to the championship, they will play it one extra game. But I mean, the regular season is long, and there's a lot of. I mean, the NBA is just horrible with all the rest and load management, all this shit. So, like, to try to make these regular season games more interesting to me is a huge win, or at least like the idea of it in itself is a huge thing for NBA fans. I think everybody should be excited about this. This just makes games that a lot of these guys, seemingly didn't really care that much about, hopefully care a little bit more. Maybe these coaches will, push their players to play a few extra minutes instead of waving the white flag with 9 minutes and 30 seconds like Steve Kerr and Ty Lue seem to do. So I don't know, man. There's in an 82 game season, there's a lot of shit games in the NBA. A lot. I think it's the
Absolutely,
biggest.
yeah.
I think it's the biggest problem with NBA, and it's probably the biggest problem in all of sports is how awful the regular season is. Um, and hopefully, this is a step in the right direction to try to help that issue. It's obviously not going to be like a solo endeavor to cure that issue entirely, but I think it's a step in the right direction, man. So, any way we can make any of these games more competitive, let's do that.
Yeah, I agree. So the groups were released, I believe, this morning. Check out the Post Up Twitter at Post Up Boys. We did tweet out the all the groups. So Celtics group looks like it's going to be a landslide, easy dub for the Celtics.
Shut up.
But actually, on that note, do you think the NBA players will be taking it seriously?
I don't know. I'm struggling to figure that out. I don't really think they'll play it any differently than a regular season game, I guess.
This is where I
It'll be
think.
interesting.
So I agree with you for the most part. I think it does. I think it will. The start of the games will be more intense. I think depending how the game goes, their effort might slack. If the game stays competitive, I think it's going to be good the whole time. But if they have to force a comeback or something, I think they will kind of chill out a little bit. Is my thought. Do you think when it comes to whoever wins it in the championship, is it safe to say that you mentioned the Sixers? I think the Sixers are a good example of a team that could win it. Like they're a team that great regular season team,
Love the
a-
regular season,
and there's
man.
no series. So in theory, if there's no series, anybody could take. Like this could be. I could see the Pacers winning it. Team that's got
Yeah.
talent that can just get hot. The Thunder would be a good team. Like they could win it. You just get hot at the right time. Um, this is a small one. So in the Celtics one, the Magic are in there. The Magic beat the Celtics in their head to head series last year. So Magic could win it.
Yeah.
So
You
and I believe the reward is just financial. All the players get money. I don't know how much. I think it depends on how much revenue it brings in. Is something that I saw. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Yeah, I'd have to double check on that one myself, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like a win to me. I think I think it's a cool idea. Spices up for the fans, spices up for the players, and hopefully they take it seriously, and hopefully this gives us more competitive basketball while we wait for the postseason.
Yeah. Alrighty, Dolan. So we've got two more segments coming up. Dolan and I are going to do. It's going to quick thing. It's something an idea I had actually. If Michael was here, he'd probably take credit for it because that's his thing. But I think that the Post Up Boys are going to start doing, and not every episode, but doing just a short draft of a starting five, but it's a theme draft. Whether that be international players, USA players, players under 25, some sort of category. And Dolan and I are going to start it off right now. The first post up draft with the category of 3-point lineup. So
That's right.
these are all 3-point shooters, all known 3-point shooters. I think we can agree. They might be good at something else too, but it's universally known that they are great 3-point shooters also. Um, any questions on it, Dolan, before we get started?
No, dude, I'm ready to roll.
All right, so just clarify, it's just starting five. I'm going to flip a coin on my coin flipping browser I brought up. You can see I'm not
There you
cheating.
go.
Here it is right here.
Sure.
Here we go. Call it in the air, and I'll let you know when it's in the air. In the air.
Tails.
Heads. So Dylan, do you want to see it? Do you
Motherfucker.
believe me?
Yeah, I
Heads.
guess so.
So Dylan, myself, gets the first pick. Let me pull up my
Hmm.
notes. I did a
Tough
little bit
one.
more. I think, yeah, I was really going back and forth about this one, but I think I'm going to go Steph Curry.
I wonder why. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna rattle off his teammate and go Clay.
Ooh, good one. Alrighty, so are you ready? Can you write this down?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Sorry, pardon the interruption.
Yeah, don't mind us. We're figuring this out.
So my
Right.
next pick, I'm going to go Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I kind of figured you would. All right, so you got Steph and Dame. That's gonna be it's gonna be a bit of a challenge here. That's gonna be a bit of a challenge. All right, I got Clay. Um, tough already. This is crazy. Tough. I'm gonna go Donovan Mitchell.
That's good.
I'm gonna go Mitchell at the 2, Clay at the 3.
Alrighty, I'm going to go the Joker, starting center.
Nice. Okay, so you got Steph, Dame, and Joker. I got Clay and Donovan Mitchell. Interesting. All right, we're gonna figure this out. I'm gonna place Tatum at my 4. I'm gonna go
Ooh, good.
Jason Tatum.
I like that. I like that.
I bet you do.
I'm going to go for my 3 spot, Buddy Hield.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's a pretty good start to your team. All right, I got to think about this for a split second here.
So you've got Donovan Mitchell at your 2, Clay at your 3, Tatum at your 4.
In a sense,
Okay.
might be able to sneak away with
Yeah, true.
Donovan
Mitch,
at
yeah,
number
Mitchell
1.
can be 1. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, so it depends. Tough. Interesting stuff. I'm gonna go. I don't think there's anything I could do that would prevent your team from kicking mine's ass right now. I will say. I'm gonna go LaMelo Ball.
That's good. I like that one. Alrighty, so this is my last pick.
Yep.
This is my power forward here. And I'd like to consider this a welcoming to the Boston Celtics. I'm going Kristaps, Zingas
Nice.
Pingus, Porzingis at my
Nice.
4.
Nice. I like it. Well, damn. I gotta get big here. I need a somewhat of a rebounder as well as a 3-point shooter. Couple names come to mind. This is a tough one.
To me, there's only one option.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Who's someone to do both of those things?
All right. I'm gonna go. I don't have much rebounding, but I'm gonna go Brooke Lopez.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I was going to say Vukovic personally, but
Let me get Brooke. All right. So our final teams, I think.
let's hear it.
Yikes. You have Steph. You have Dame. you have Buddy Hield, you have Kristaps Porzingis, then you have Nikola Jokic. I have LaMelo Ball, Donovan Mitchell, Klay Thompson, Jason Tatum, and Brooke Lopez.
Hmm.
Yikes.
It's gonna be a close one.
I mean,
So
my team is obviously it's not bad, but
it's not bad. I think it's good.
Steph and
It's,
Joker are pretty decent
yeah, it's good.
players.
Yeah. So go follow the Post Up Boys. We will be tweeting out a poll. I would like to get some interaction on this, and you guys can vote to see which team you think is best. I personally think it's Dolan's team, so you'll be getting my vote, Dolan.
Yeah,
Hey, good draft. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you'll be participating in the first Post Up Boys draft.
there you go.
All right, if you guys listened last week, we started a new segment called the Post Up Breakdown, and Dolan was a big fan of it. He's pumped. He missed
Oh,
it last time. So, quick recap the last two. So, I'm going to break it down. So, I have each team numbered 1 through 30, randomly numbered, and I have a random number generator, and I will be running that generator for us to determine what team to talk about. And we'll pretty much do a overall analysis of the team. We'll break down expectations, potential, what we like, what we believe is going to happen, potential needs since free agency is still going on, things like that. Recap: last week we did Milwaukee Bucks and Washington Wizards, so those two we will not be doing again. All right, Dylan, let's see what we got here.
let's roll.
Random number generator. Survey says number 17, the Toronto Raptors.
Nice.
It's a good one. Team that just made some trades. Or I guess they didn't make trade. They lost some people. Sorry.
Yeah.
You want to start it?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the first thing we got to look over too is obviously losing Fred Van Fleet is massive. They have Malachi Flynn will probably be their backup. They have Dennis Schroeder at the one. Not great. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a ton of Scotty Barnes at the one. Um, it'll be tough because I think Pascal and OG Anunoby trade rumors will just swirl around this team
Absolutely.
forever until they're finally gone. But um, it's hard. This is actually probably one of the more difficult teams to give a projection for. They were 41-41 last year. They did make the postseason. Um, they still do have borderline postseason talent. I thought Jalen Daniels was a nice pickup. Grady Dick was a great draft pick. Jakob Pertl at the deadline was a nice addition for them. I'm a big fan of Precious Achua, or however you say his name, as the backup five. Even down in their depth chart, they have Will Barton, Thaddeus Young, Otto Porter. So decent players. I mean, this is a solid team. I don't know a ton about who. Hold on, who's their coach?
Darko
Yeah,
Rajanovic.
yeah, yeah.
No
I don't
idea how
know
to
a
say that.
yeah, I don't know a ton about their coach, so I find this to be one of the tougher teams to project, mainly around the fact that OG and Pascal, we're not really sure how long they're going to be there. But I do actually I'm super intrigued about this opportunity for Scotty Barnes because I think we see
Absolutely.
point guard Scotty pretty much all season long. I mean, give this man the keys and see what he can do with them. Pascal will share. I'm sure he'll average 6.5 assists, but it's point guard Scotty time, man. I think as a Toronto fan, you definitely have Scotty to build around. Great, you add Grady Dick into the mix. I didn't even mention Gary Trent at any point so far, so he's a really good shooter off the bench. If you do if you put him at the six man, so the depth is there. It's a very intriguing roster. It's lengthy. It's athletic. Um, it got even lengthier with Jakob Pertl at the five rather than Siakam at the five. So um, this is definitely one of the most thought provoking teams. Dennis Schroeder doesn't do it for me. Not a huge fan. He's okay. He's super inconsistent. He could drop 23 one game with 8 assists, and then this following game he could have 6 points, 1 assist. And I wouldn't really even bat an eye. He's just such an inconsistent player. So um, my outlook on them is I do think they will get a little bit worse, and they have bigger question marks, mainly just around coaching and how long are they going to keep this core together before they break it up. But I mean, the talent's there. I mean, this is a pretty interesting team, and even if they do blow it up, Pascal's going to get you a nice return. OG Anunoby's going to get you a nice return. Gary Trent can probably get you a halfway decent return, and then you still have your guys Scotty Barnes and Grady Dick to build around. So Interesting, man. It's I think interesting is just the best word for it. I think they could still make the play in with this roster if they don't go the trade route. I say this is an 8 to, this is an 8 to 10 seed team in the East to me.
I think that's solid. I think seeing how the new coach is going to work out is going to be big to figure out expectations for this team. I mean, there's time and time again, like this is a very minor, like extreme example, but the Warriors were 8 seed and Steve Kerr took over, and then they became the Warriors. So when Mark Jackson left, so we could find out this is a phenomenal coach and he works magic out of these people. But I am seeing like I see a lot of similarities like them and the Bulls, not to the same extreme as the Bulls, obviously, but they have these weird good pieces, but it's kind of awkwardly fitting together. You're kind of not sure how it's going to work, but you want it to work because it's still talent there. I think their ceiling, absolute ceiling, is a 6 seed, um, and that's with like this new coach working out, and they have like Siakam is still a great talent, and
Absolutely.
obviously OG is very good, and we can have Scotty Barnes because his rookie year was phenomenal, and he had a sophomore slump. So see what Scotty Barnes can do. You said give him the keys and see how it goes. So I don't. Yeah, this is a hard team to break down. I don't see any other big things happening unless they end up trading Siakam and OG. But there's not many teams. I can see. I think OG is more of a hot item I would want rather than Siakam. Siakam is one of those weird pieces where you don't really want to give him a lot because I don't think he's a going to change your organization. He's someone that could fit really well if the Mavericks could get him. To me, that's a good fit. You know,
That would be a nice fit.
a team like that. Like he's going to be a great third star. You make him your second star. It's like sure you could possibly compete for the 4 seed, but that's just my thoughts on it. Anything else on the Raptors? I think that was a hard one, but
No, yeah, we covered a lot of their roster. I mean, it's an I mean, it's a solid roster. It still is. I mean, it definitely is. It's just a matter of what their goal is, and I think that's very undefined right now. Obviously, you'd think that they'd want to win, but um, I don't know. You mentioned you kind of compared them loosely to the Bulls, and they do seem purgatory-ish, where they're just that postseason team that doesn't really get far into the postseason, nor do they get good draft picks, and it's just like a never-ending revolving door, which is Dylan's favorite thing, by the way. Dylan's a huge revolving door
dude,
kind of guy.
I went through one yesterday.
Very proud of you.
It
Very proud
was
of
torturous, and I realized afterwards there was a door right next to it, and I was forced to walk through the freaking. Didn't pay attention. About lost
you.
my life. It was
That's
horrifying.
that's
And I
great.
tried
Well,
my best not to make a scene out of it, but I literally like stood in front of it, was like pacing, like catching my breath, like trying to hype myself up doing it. And people were just like, and it wasn't a busy place. So people were with like, what are you doing? And I was like, I wasn't even going to explain my weird fears of revolving doors, but thanks for that,
well,
Dole.
yeah, anytime. Happy to call it out. But yeah, I do. I think this is a play-in playoff team
I agree.
as of
I
now.
agree. On to the next one. I didn't mention this, Dolan. I don't know if you remember if you listened to the pod, but if we get either Celtics, Sixers, or Pistons, we're not going to count that. We'll wait till full squads here to we're at
Yep.
full strength to break down our squads because those are probably going to take significantly longer than the other ones.
Yeah.
Number 14. Survey says this is a fun one. The Houston Rockets.
Nice.
This is a good one. Go ahead.
Yeah. Um. I got a lot to say about this one. I thought it felt like they blew their load a little bit to me in free agency. Felt like they got a little bit too much money in their pockets, and they just seem so determined to use it all up as quickly as they possibly could.
Small
Um,
thing. I don't know
yeah,
if you knew this. We've talked about the new CBA a lot. The new CBA says you have to use at least, I think it's 90 or 95% of your cap. So
yeah,
before the season starts. So it is forcing some teams to throw money. Granted, both of these big signings were like right as free agency started. So it's like
yeah,
they probably could have waited to figure out, but that is a small thing. Like you're forced to use your cap now. There's no more waiting. It used to be you had to use your cap before a certain time period in the season. Now it's before the season starts. So
yeah. Fair
continue.
enough. Yeah, fair enough. That it still does feel like. I mean, Jock Lendale, 32 million, Dylan Brooks, 80 million, Fred Van Fleet. I don't even remember how many million, 130 for
120,
3 years
I
or
think
something.
130. Yeah, it was more
Yeah,
than Kyrie. I remember
yeah.
that just being absurd.
It's just and doing this with such good young talent. I understand. they had a massive losing culture. They had so many maturity issues. Amin Thompson and Cam Whitmore were not going to come in and fix that, by themselves. I get that. So I do understand where they're coming from with these signings, but at the same time, I wouldn't have minded had they let these guys kind of grow organically. Because how badly is, I mean, Fred, Nick Nurse, I mean, he's probably not going to play Fred quite like Nick Nurse did, but Fred's been pretty much a 40-minute a game guy most of his career, as long as he's been a starter ever since Lowry left Toronto. Um, you can't put him out there for 36, 38 minutes, play Dylan Brooks for 32 minutes. Then where does Amen Thompson come in? When does Cam Whitmore come in? When do these
Jabari
guys get
Smith.
the time? What's that?
Jabari Smith.
Yeah, well, Jabari's going to be 4, and even behind him's Tari Eason, who's
True.
a terrific prospect who's been
Good.
great in the summer league.
He's been good in summer league. I was gonna say that.
Yeah, Jayshawn Tate is another really good young player that we don't really know what his ceiling is, but he's going to lose a lot of opportunities. So I really feel like this takes away a ton of. Uh, I mean, maybe
Opportunity,
even
maybe.
growing pains. Yes, it will take away a lot of opportunity. Maybe if you're the Houston Rockets, maybe you're just sick of waiting on guys to grow because
Maybe.
this is a 22-60 team. I do understand the sense of urgency. I respect that, but um, Jock Lindell and Dylan Brooks making 112 million combined is just wild to me. I didn't. If you want to sign Fred, that's cool. That he's a good player. He's gonna bring you further. I know Michael's spoken fairly positively about the Dylan Brooks signing. I guess he
I
brings the
actually like the
toughness.
Brooks signings. I think a lot of people like are harboring over how the end of his last season was, and I get it. Like he definitely was in the media for usually not good things. He was not backing it up on the court, but historically before that, he was a solid player, and I do think he brings like a weird toughness and good perimeter defense. And I think 20 million a year is pretty much what a good role player gets. And I do think he's a good role player.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his numbers, obviously last year was down. I mean, the prior couple years are pretty good. I mean, he averaged 18 points in 21-22. He did get hurt. He only played 32 games or something like that. But he was a low efficiency, high volume guy, which in that sense does kind of concern me.
True,
You're taking a lot of shots away from Amen. You're taking shots away from Cam. You're taking shots away from Jalen. And these are guys that I would like to see put up shots. We haven't even gotten around to Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, it seems so obvious to like go ahead and just trade him, dish
absolutely,
him
yeah,
off. But I mean, we're talking. I mean, what did he average last year? 19 and 6. Yeah, 19 points, 5.7 rebounds. He shot 37% from three, and this dude's 23 years old. Like,
yeah. I
and
like
like
him.
they put him in a non-natural position. He ends up averaging 19 and 6 at 23, and like he's just like a throwaway to them. Or I guess more so from like a fan standpoint. Well, I'm not really sure what their front office is thinking about him, but he's just another odd piece to this puzzle that will lose out very heavily. You know, uh, as far as point guard's concerned, you got to think they drafted Aman Thompson at 4 overall. Right. Hold on. Yeah, 4 overall.
Hmm.
And then he's like their third string point guard now. Like, I don't know. Just weird. I get it. 22 and 6 is really fucking bad. You want to win sooner rather than later. You gave your young guys a chance to grow, but um I was a little weirded out this offseason. I just didn't see a lot of this coming. So um
I've
I,
got three questions for you before you can
okay.
continue.
Yeah, please.
What do you think their starting lineup is going to be?
Fred, Jalen, Brooks, Jabari, Sengun.
Okay, I mean, I more or less agree with that. There's some. I'm curious to see what Jalen Green does. See, obviously, I think he's going to start. He was number 2 overall pick 2 years ago.
Have to start him. I think it's a no-brainer starter.
Then you pay Jock Landale to be your backup center. Pay him that much money to be your backup center.
Yep.
That's crazy. Obviously,
Well,
Zangan is way better than
I
him,
think
at least in my opinion.
he was 4 for 32, I think. So 8 million a year, not
Yeah,
that
that's not bad.
feels reasonable for a backup center. Sengun is definitely going to be the 5.
Good. Alrighty. If you're a Rockets fan, what's your expectations?
I'd want to make the postseason with all these moves, all the addition. It's I don't know. This is a massive, massive jump. I think they are the 10 seed in the West. They are the
Okay.
like last team to claw into the play-in kind of team. But that is a massive jump. It's so hard to break that culture. But obviously, they brought in Ime. If somebody can
Yeah.
turn this around,
Yeah.
it's him. And
If yeah, Ime is
yeah, my bad.
he's a
Yeah,
good coach. So
yeah. So I do think, I mean, the talent's there. I mean, even though I've kind of harped on my confusion, it's not due to lack of talent. This team's fucking deep. This team is good. I
it's
mean,
deep. It's got
it,
if one thing it has is depth. Not
it
superstar power,
yeah,
but it's got depth at least.
it's talented. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
this is a good team, but this is a super talented team. We'll see if they're a good team, but I do. I mean, the talent is there, especially if Jabari makes that leap. I think Sengun will continue to grow. We'll see what Jalen does. I mean, I thought he was primed to have a massive, massive breakout. Then they signed Van Vliet, and Dylan Brooks, and that might curb his volume quite a bit. But I mean, that's probably not the worst thing. I mean, we're talking a pretty low efficiency guy, so does he really need to shoot 23 times a game? Probably not. So, um, I don't know. I think this is a first team in or last team out play-in team. Like the 10th seed like scrapes by to make it, or the 11 seed that misses by a game and a half, or I guess you can't have a half game, but a game or two.
All right. Final question on them. Give me, and you don't have to do a reasoning, just real quick. Give me a floor and a ceiling with their seating.
Hmm. 8 seed is their ceiling to me. You get winning 22 games in a season's extremely bad. Pretty much everybody that was on that team, or a lot of the guys, are still there. Some of them will have less responsibility, less role, but um, it's a huge jump to make. It's so hard to go from such a losing culture to all of a sudden a winning one. It just doesn't happen. Like, it's just a hard thing to shake. So I think they have a lot of bad habits that were developed over the course of the season, and you could bring in any coach in the entire world. And I still think they would kind of struggle to turn around the mentality overall, but um, I still think their floor is rather low because of how bad they've been for so long. But on the flip side, um, ceiling can be pretty high. I mean, hold on, I'm mixing up here a little bit. I think I said 8 seed is their
Ceiling.
ceiling.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, I switched my own points for a second there, but I think eight seeds their ceiling, and like 13 is their floor. I mean, they could completely shit to bed. I mean, if you think about it, I guess their number one option is Fred Van Fleet at this point, and I mean, this is like a 39% shooter from the floor most of the years of his career. So, I mean, they're adding a super high volume, low efficiency guy to a high volume, low efficiency offense. So, um, I don't I don't think, even if everything clicks, Ime steps in, does a great job coaching. I still think to go from 21 wins to a 7 seed would be miraculous. So I think best case scenario they can get to the 7 seed, maybe 8 seed. But I also think there's a lot of potential for them to just continue to suck, because going from being terrible to going to being good is it's not an easy thing to do. So we'll see. This is, again, I use the word interesting a lot for Toronto. I think will be one of the more interesting teams to watch throughout this season, because I think they're one of the more unpredictable highs and lows. I truly can't wait to see what this team does.
Yeah. I agree with most of your points. I would say that the floor is probably like a 12 seed or so. To me, they obviously health pending. Like obviously, if everyone stays healthy, besides like minor injuries here and there, then yeah, I'd say ceiling is probably a 9 seed, something like
Seems
that.
reasonable.
But that's a we had two doozies for
Yeah,
the post up
fun
breakdown.
teams to
Those are
talk
those are
about.
good ones.
Yeah,
Um,
no doubt about it.
all right, Dolan. I think that's the show. You got anything else?
I mean, I'm pretty much all set. We're at an hour and 1 minute recording, so I'm super proud. We did it.
We did it.
We're
Not
back,
bad.
baby. We
Um,
we
do
have an
me
under an
a
hour show.
favor. do you do me a favor, all you listeners out there? Go follow at Carefree Willis. Tell him how much he sucks for not
Please.
being here.
Yep.
Also tell him how much the Pistons suck because that's his favorite conversation.
Please.
Um, I am Dylan. You could follow me at DillBond00. Come talk Celtics with me. Dolan, where can our dear friends find you at?
You can find me at Ryan Props with a Z on the end on the Bird app.
The Bird app. You have
Twitter.
Twitter Blue?
I do through my company.
Oh, that's awesome. Brag about it, dude.
I,
Jeez.
I will.
Some of us don't have $8 a month to throw around. Jeez. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week.
Yes, sir. Later.
Later.